Hey, welcome to Optimize Your Body with Martin Silva, where we talk raw, uncut facts to truly help you optimize your body.
Yo, off to a flying start today. It took us about 20 minutes to get going, but we're off now. I'm here with my man Andrew Bond again. How's it going, mate? 5:30 in the morning again, mate. You're up in the morning grinding for me. I appreciate it.
I am, mate, and I've got a confession to make. I'm slightly hungover today, so I just bought myself a large coffee. So
yeah, good man. What was the occasion, mate? Just a random one, was it, or?
it was a client invited a few of the trainers around to his place, so I guess I wanted to be social. There's nothing wrong with that occasionally, because it's going to build healthy relationships among your peers, you know. So had a couple of drinkies, no sleep as well either. So that combination is going to set me for a good day, you know.
Yeah, you don't drink much, though, mate, do you? So.
No, I don't, and you know, it is enjoyable to have a drink. It makes you feel good, right? And it tastes good.
Yeah. What do you drink? What's your choice? What's your weapon of choice, mate? Alcohol.
I tend to have like lower calorie choices these days, so I went for. Actually, he gave me tried this for the first time was vodka.
Yeah.
He didn't have any mixers, so he grabbed me coconut water as well.
Coconut water.
Blend that, man. Yeah, you should try it.
Really?
Sometime.
That sounds good, man.
It was good, man.
Fair play. So, how do you feel today, mate? You a bit ropey, or?
Good right now, but I'll definitely be feeling it later. So
that's all good, mate. Is that you got a time and spot on anyway? Because today's podcast, people, we're going to talk about, you know, alcohol, pros and cons, and you know, we all know it's not ideal. Alcohol essentially poisons the body, but at the same time, we need to have it. We need to have it in our lives, right? So it's poison, but like a lot of things, you know, you could call sugar poison. You know, anything you overdo, guys and girls, is obviously going to be bad news. But you know, Andrew and I like a drink from time to time. I drink, since I've been living here in Australia, I drink a lot more than I used to be honest. I really appreciate it more. I appreciate more nowadays just having like a few drinks here and there, as opposed to Andrew and I in our heyday, when, you know, we'll tell a few stories today anyway. We've got some funny stories for today anyway, people, right? That time when Andrew woke up on my doormat, which you reminded me of earlier, forgot about that. Literally opened the door, folks, in the morning. Andrew's face planted on my mat.
in my Christmas jumper.
With your Christmas jumper.
It's just me and alcohol. I've had a very turbulent past and turbulent relationship, mate.
I know, mate. You normally you got legs like Bambi. When you have a few drinks, you're a bit like, your legs are a bit wobbly, aren't they?
Yeah, mate. But I've woken up with my face in some undesirable places, I know that. Many occasions, park benches, bushes,
good
doormats.
times.
So I am maturing a little bit more now, and I know no self-control, so.
Oh, good times, mate. But we, what's it called? We met.
Woken up to some undesirables, though, right?
Oh, yeah, mate. I've woken up in some dodgy occasions, in some dodgy situations, should I say? I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
But yeah,
life or death situations, or?
Well, not far off, mate, to be honest. But I mean, you and I, for example, we met on that trip to Vegas, right?
That's it.
Yeah, where you met your your missus and stuff. It was a hell of a trip.
Yeah.
But what's it called? It was pretty wild, yeah. So, man, like when you go in that hard, something's got to give, right? So I took me like a week. It takes you like a week to recover from those holidays, doesn't it? Literally.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, man. But yeah, just talking about the the detriments of alcohol, and you know how you can use alcohol as a tool, people, right? So, you know, it's not something, you know, we all know that most of us drink this day and age anyway, and it's a social thing anyway. So it's it's socially cleansing and stuff. But the main thing is, you know, if your goal, whatever your goals are, we all know that alcohol is not really, you know, if you're overdoing alcohol, it's not going to do you any favors. You know, you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that. But we'll go a bit more into the details of, why it can be detrimental to your performance and to your body goals and whatnot. But yeah, what's your, give the listeners a bit of a heads up on your thoughts on alcohol, Drew, and what you experience with clients and stuff like that as well, if you can, mate.
I don't know. I feel like it's certainly a bit of an epidemic with clients at the moment. I don't know what your thoughts are, but the majority of them really drink daily.
Yep.
And I guess that's where it becomes a bit of an issue, whether it's habit or, you know, it can lead into alcoholism in the long term, obviously. But I feel that people are so stressed out these days, they need to switch off when they get home. And their first port of call, rather than drinking water, hydrating themselves, maybe going for a walk, doing some productive, maybe to grab a glass of wine, or
exactly.
2, 3, and then that's where the issues start coming in.
That's exactly right.
And it makes it more difficult for them to adhere to, you know, their program and weight loss as well, because alcohol, as we know, as we've already discussed, low inhibitions. So it's not necessarily the alcohol itself that causes weight gain or issues with testosterone levels, etc. It's what we do afterwards or the next day when the issues come in.
Exactly, it's the ripple effect, right? So it's not so much, the actual calories in the alcohol. It's what that alcohol is doing to your body. Your body has to work so hard to metabolize that alcohol, right? Because as I said earlier, essentially you're poisoning your body, right? So your body has to work.
Metabolize it differently as well, right? It's going to
absolutely. Exactly, yeah, and then that means then obviously you're not leaving yourself much room in terms of say for example you have a skinful on a Saturday night, the following day, obviously as you said then, and right, your inhibitions are lowered, it effectively it weakens your character, right? So the next day you're kind of searching for the crappy foods, right, junk food to make yourself feel better, and when it gets to Monday, the thing is you can still pull it back. It's just then when you get to a Monday, and as you know yourself. You get to a Monday, you're still not quite right, and then you're still feeling sorry for yourself, and then you're kind of struggling to get back on track. So the way I look at it is, unless you try and cut back and try and redeem yourself a little bit, so to speak, on like a Monday and Tuesday, just try and put some more healthy stuff in your body, maybe cut back on your calories a little bit, and you're back in action then, really. But it's more a case of if you're binge drinking and all the other stuff that comes with it, because we know we're also facing an epidemic with people taking all sorts of drugs and that as well. So it's the combination of things you're doing with it, a combination of things you're putting in your body, right? So, yeah, just an example.
It takes preparation, right?
Carry on, mate.
Go on, sir. That's the question. It just takes preparation, I think, from yourself. As you said, you may be out Friday, Saturday night, and then you can pull it back maybe on a Sunday. But beforehand, what are you doing in advance to kind of prepare for that? So are you looking at different meals the day before, the day of, knowing that a big night out, so ultimately you may want to lower your carbohydrate fat intake, fill up on protein and veggies, which is going to make you satiated, but also is going to have it's going to be lower calorie. Okay, so you have some more expenditure in the night where you can kind of indulge a little bit more.
Yep.
You can eat out that evening, so you can enjoy foods, have a couple of drinks, know what you're drinking. Maybe in the evening you're going to go for. I tend to, like I said earlier, I'm going to go for lower calorie drinks. So my options are maybe looking for vodka soda over a beer.
Yeah.
Which is less calorie dense than having a beer or wine. So just be smart about it. Just prepare in advance and think you'll be good then.
Exactly. It's all about balance, and that's what we're just trying to promote on this podcast. And it's good because we're now living in a day and age where it's slowly but surely, being healthy is actually becoming cool, right? So it's been a long road, getting to this point, because we always go from one extreme to another as humans, right? We take something, we run with it. Like bodybuilding, for example, it was kind of, even 5-10 years ago, it was popular to be massive. Everyone wanted to be huge. Now, people want to look healthier. They want to look leaner. I think shredded is the word. Everyone's throwing that word around, right? Everyone wants to be shredded and whatnot. But everyone wants to look lean, and it's all about balance, yeah? So a couple of drinks is not going to hurt you. In terms of choice of alcohol, nowadays, to be honest, all I tend to drink myself is gin and red wine. And basically with red wine, you've got polyphenols in red wine, right? So you've got heaps of antioxidants, resveratrol as well, which is a type of polyphenol which you find in red wine. So it's quite a unique compound, and it does help a lot if you have one glass, that is. Now, obviously, if you're doing a social, having 1 or 2 glasses with food as well, if you have that with food, it's a lot less toxic on the body. So it kind of counteracts the negative effects of alcohol, if you like. So we all know red wine is one of the best. Also gin as well. So luckily, I didn't used to like red wine, but since I've come out here, some of the wine here is beautiful, and I actually like the taste of it now. A few with a meal here and there. I can't drink too much of it though, because it makes me really tired. But gin and tonics, they just go down so easy. I know the tonic water is not ideal, but the gin itself is, especially I think Bombay Sapphire, it's got Indian herbs in it, lots of polyphenols. So again, if you're going to choose, I would say red wine or gin, really, in terms of health. But yeah, with the calories, Drew. I give the listeners a bit of a heads up on what you said you choose vodka, and I mean, what would you say to the listeners or clients?
It's interesting you say about nutrients there as well, because I think we can get into this debate with if it's a macros crowd, right? In terms of if we can just replace food with alcohol, have a good night out. Understandably, that can work. Okay, you're replacing calorie for calorie, but understand that when you start doing this, so for example, when you start putting beer into your MyFitnessPal, alcohol, it is devout of, some alcohols are devout of certain nutrients, so it's not sometimes simple as replacing one with the other.
Yeah, of course.
You will need to make nutritious choices throughout the day if you want to bring in alcohol as well, just to make sure you hit the micronutrient target that you have. So ultimately, be careful with it, and I think that boils down to more education being needed as well.
Definitely.
So educate yourself on how to prepare. Educate yourself on what alcohols might work better for you. Don't go overboard as well. There's definitely like short-term effects of drinking alcohol. So this is how the body kind of processes it. Okay, so if you have 1 to 2 drinks, this can slow down your motor performance. All right, this can give you impaired sensation. So this is you, mate. This is, you may not be as good a dancer as you think after 1 to 2 drinks.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I think I'm like,
You think you're dancing, you're on top form, right?
That's it.
Terrible.
I feel like Patrick Swayze, mate, but I look like a chump in reality. But
yeah, 6 to 10 drinks. If I did that these days, I'd be dead, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I come close to death in the past, mate. Let's not.
How many did you have last night? How many did you have last night?
Just 2, mate. That's all.
Okay, I'll sound. Yeah.
There's food there, so I'll tell you obviously how to combat that. There was food I didn't, because I was in control. I didn't reach for the food. It was like takeaway. I had some nice food. Came home instead, so I didn't overdo my calories, and that's a smart way to do it, really.
Nice.
So 6 to 10 drinks, you can have like an erratic mood, cognitive function difficulty, so you're not going to move as well, difficulty with memory, erectile dysfunction. That's you again.
Yeah, no, that's my issue. Yeah, nice one for that, mate. You meant to keep that one on the down low, man. That wasn't part of the plan. All right.
Issue when you're sober as well, right? 10 plus drinks. This is where the problems really start occurring, right? This is how I used to drink. I used to binge drink, and I'm sure you did the same, right? So there were times where I'd go out and I wouldn't remember it, and that was awful. That's an awful position to be in. You wake up the next day and you wonder how you got home. It's not very safe, Yeah. But just be very careful if you are binge drinking on the weekends, and problems can occur with this, like such as aggression, slurring, nausea, vomiting, blackouts, and then in serious issues, it can lead to cardiac issues, cardiac arrest, and even death. So, just to put a good light on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, so guys, alcohol, you might want to steer clear of that, by the sounds of it. Then.
Yeah, right.
Nah.
Doesn't sound too good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They are the short-term effects. So just be aware that what you are putting into your body does have those kind of different effects on you. So again, it can be fun, it's tasty, but just be aware that if you do overboard, then you got to bear the consequences, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So don't worry too much about death, folks. But obviously that is an extreme. No. It's an extreme example. But it does happen. It does happen. No, but a lot of people we think about the scrapes we've had in the past. So I don't know about you, Andrew, but I've had some of the worst shit that's happened to me, folks, in my lifetime has been from drinking, hands down. Whether it's fighting or like you said, waking up in weird places, like in the middle of the street, like all sorts of stuff has happened to me when I was younger. So I'm really thankful to be here, mate, today. If I think about some of the escapades and stuff when I was younger, man, Jesus, and same as you, Drew, right? So, but yeah, like when you drink, obviously it relaxes you, right? So you release GABA, which is an amino acid and acts as a neurotransmitter. So much like serotonin, it is, if you like a happy chemical. It helps you. It's anti-anxiety, helps you relax. We all know you have a couple of drinks, you start feeling more relaxed, more confident, more chilled out in general. Then, as Andrew said, then when you start ramping it up and you get past that two drink mark, 3 drink mark, that's when you start becoming a bit more impaired and kind of losing control a bit in a sense. But you don't need me to tell you that. But also, in terms of like hangover cures and stuff like that, apparently like magnesium, zinc, and B6 are the best things to actually get into your body. And obviously fructose as well, right? So you getting a little bit of sugar, some sugar from fruit would be ideal because you get the polyphenols then as well, which are going to help, obviously antioxidants help flush the body out. But to be honest, folks, one of the best things for me, I mean, Andrew, as we've said before, Andrew and I are at a place where we seek out whole foods now, whereas we never were there in the past. It was a battle, like a lot of people, it was a battle to eat healthy foods and find that balance between shitty foods and healthy foods. But nowadays, kind of intuitively, we go for those foods. So, for example, when I'm hungover, I eat healthy foods. People would look at me and be like, oh, how the hell can you eat that? But I know my body's telling me right now, if there's any time you need nutrients, it's right now, right? When you're just full of toxins and your body is essentially just run down to the max. So that's when I pump in even more nutrients. But I do occasionally, like I'll crave something crap and I'll have like a pizza or something. But a lot of the time that's the sodium you're craving as well, because obviously it kills off the electrolytes, so it wipes out, your sodium levels, potassium, magnesium. So yeah, generally, one of the best things I would say, though, for a hangover cure is activated charcoal. And it's something I've been using. Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's really good. It's one of the best. Binds out toxins from the bowels and stuff and from the blood. But also, I use it when I have issues with my gut, because I still occasionally get gut issues from the damage I've done, doing competitions and binge eating and whatnot. Who knows exactly what it was caused from, but yeah, I still get gut issues occasionally, and I use the activated charcoal. I just use the capsules, or sometimes I'll get the powder, which is even better, and that works wonders for that as well. So it's really, really good stuff, that, for a hangover. Turmeric as well, if you can get some. I know it tastes like crap, so if you can get some maybe turmeric supplements, we can get capsules and stuff. Then anti-inflammatory, because alcohol is extremely inflammatory on the body, so that'll help, bring down inflammation. But yeah, so in terms of the negatives, I'll just run through a few now before Drew chimes in. Vasodilators, it wipes out the vasodilators, which is partly why you get headaches. Now, actually, one of the main reasons you get hangovers is essentially 90% dehydration. So one of the tools, folks, one of the tricks of the trade nowadays for me is drinking heaps of water when I'm drinking alcohol. So if I'm going out and I'm having a big session, then in between every single drink, here in Australia they have a jug on the end of the bar of water. So every time I get a drink, boom, I'll have some water in between. I'll have a glass of water in between every drink, and it has done me the world of good. So I don't really get hangovers as such now, apart from tiredness and whatnot. But yeah, it wipes out the dilators, the vasodilators, which help blood flow and circulation and stuff. So that's partly why you get headaches the next day, but it's primarily from dehydration, folks. So a hangover, I would say, is literally 90% dehydration. So really focus on the hydration element, when you're out and about drinking, yeah?
I definitely feel that, mate. And also the next day, like if you have a hangover day, not just doing it whilst you drink, it's vitally important you drink plenty of water the next day as well, and that's going to make you feel a lot better.
Sorry, man, that's number one. That's number one, actually, folks. Yeah, the next day, get that in. Yeah, that's the first go-to, right? Glass of water.
Yeah, your hangover day can be a very detrimental and damaging day.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
As you said earlier, you're craving greasy food, right? So how would you combat that? Rather than going out to eat, maybe have something there ready, even if it is choices of bacon, egg, sausage. At least you know that you've bought quality produce there. You're cooking it yourself. You know what's going into it. Mm-hmm. And that can obviously cut back on the amount of calories you're having the next day, so you don't go into a surplus of calories where you might binge on
exactly
breakfast, which is what maybe can lead up to 2,000-3,000 calories right there.
Exactly.
Surplus for the week. So,
but that's not realistic, though, is it? I understand what you're saying there, and that's totally that totally makes sense, doesn't it? But I'm not saying it's, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying for a lot of people, the next day, right? That's the battle. So what would you say, Drew? If the next day, because a lot of people in reality they're going to just going to accept the fact they're going to eat crap and whatnot the next day. What would you say? Just like on a Monday and Tuesday, just try and
just dial it in a little bit, or even leading up to that, right?
Yeah.
You go lighter during the week. Then you can allow you that a difference then when it comes to the weekend where you can binge a little more,
Of course, yeah. Just you said.
Sorry.
Just you said it. Yeah, that makes sense, man. Totally. And not to mention, sorry, mate. Go on. Finish what you were saying.
Well, also as well, account for your lack of movement that day as well, right? So you're probably usually a little bit more active when you go to the gym. You might walk, you might get your steps in throughout the week. Now, if you can get out on that hangover day, I know it's difficult. Even if it means walking to the cafe for food or something like that, or with your loved ones, or just moving, some gentle movement. It doesn't have to be anything too specific. Or obviously, I wouldn't recommend going to the gym if you have a bad hangover. But just get some fresh air out.
Exactly.
Get your steps in. And that's going to make you feel better as well. So
that's it. And just getting outside, like you said, getting outside, daylight. Just getting that vitamin D hit from the sun and from the daylight.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of reboot your immune system and your mood more than anything. Vitamin D stimulates the hypothalamus, which triggers the serotonin release, right? The release of serotonin. So getting outside.
Especially alcohol's a depressant as well, so you're going to probably I feel if I have a lot of drinks, I feel terrible the next day.
100%, man. I remember now, it just came back to me when I came out to see you a couple of years back, and we had a night out, didn't we? That was a good night, actually, wasn't it? We went to that club and like on the top of that skyscraper, man. What a place, New York, mate. You're lucky to live there, I'm telling you. But I remember the next day you saying we had a fair few drinks. I don't know how many it was, probably about 8 to 10 gins or something like that, vodka or whatever. And the next day I remember you saying like you were like snapping at your missus and stuff because you were feeling moody and short fused. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does that to you, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's the time to get out, even if it's on your own. Get out and move, walk.
Definitely.
Get away from your own, start feeling a little bit better, right?
100%.
What about like long-term effects, mate? Long-term effects of alcohol.
Long-term effect. One more thing I wanted to say. One more thing before we go to that. That's a good point, though. Is sleep, which I forgot to write on my notes actually. But sleep is one of the most important things because, I always, no matter how much, even if I get home, what I've noticed is if I have a few drinks, even if I get home at a reasonable time, don't quite feel right the next day. I feel a bit ropey. I'm like, why is that? I feel really tired. I feel tired the next day. And GABA, that neurotransmitter, which is pumping that hormone through your bloodstream. When you actually go to sleep, it's better if you can get home, ideally, and just drink like a pint of water or something like that to help flush that GABA out. Because what happens in your sleep is your body's trying to shift that GABA out of your body, and you don't fall into that REM, part of your sleep. So you don't fall into that deep sleep and get a good enough quality sleep. So and also it's been proven that. It's the GABA, but there's also other things going on in the body. Your body is just, basically, as we said earlier, trying so hard to metabolize it that your sleep is not going to be the same. So bear that in mind. Even if you think, oh, right, I'm going to get a good sleep on this, after having a few drinks, not quite the same. So, yeah, long-term effects, mate. Give me, have you got any points on that, mate?
Georgie Best effects, right?
Georgie Best, yeah. Liver transplant.
Way down the line, right? So liver accumulates fat. So there's an inhibition of fatty acid metabolism. So it can't break fat down, right, due to alcohol. So you may notice that people have, I don't know, who are alcoholics or drink excessive amounts of alcohol. Their skin color changes, right? They go pink or red.
Notice that, that's to do with I think that's to do with the vasodilators, as I mentioned earlier as well, because of the blood flow and whatnot. But the liver is the damage to the organs, right? Which triggers off that.
Liver jaundice, and it comes from alcoholic hepatitis. So with prolonged intake in the liver, cells can be damaged, right, and they could die off. And eventually, as the liver erodes, this can result in comas or death. So again, death. I'm just
no, mate. Just because you had a few drinks last night, mate, there's no need to be like this. I mean, I didn't expect this. I think people are going to be tuning out now. Okay, so if I drink alcohol, I'm going to die.
Ultimately, nobody cares about death. They just care about how they look. So
exactly, mate.
Let's talk about how calories.
It's the quality of life, isn't it? 100%. Like they keep saying that this day and age we're living longer and whatnot. But by the looks of it, we're facing an epidemic of mental health and suicides and all this kind of stuff. Quality of life is important, right? Do you know what I mean? It's not
should be not the important stuff as calories, right?
Yeah, exactly, mate. I was going to say about the mental side of it, and as well. Just I'll just throw in a point there, and then you can add another one. Alzheimer's. They're linking. Right. It's common sense. Obviously, when you're drinking alcohol, you're destroying your neurons, right? So you're wiping out neurons, and the body has to try and rebuild and regenerate them over the space of a few days and whatnot. But I don't know how they've done these studies. I'm pretty sure they were long-term studies as well. But they found that one drink, generally, if it's a regular occurrence where you're drinking regular, like one drink can increase Alzheimer's by like 24%, and 2 drinks a day can increase up to 64%. I think that's like per day, and there's a lot of variables there, obviously, but there's a much, much, much higher risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, and mental health ailments later down the line. But that's common sense, but it's something I would say to be aware of people. Yeah, exactly, because this, when you're young and you're doing it. Exactly, mate. When you're young and you're doing all these things, now, luckily, Andrew and I are a lot more self-aware, and a lot of people are now because of all this information, but you've got to be aware, right, Drew?
Definitely, mate. I think that as the youngsters as well, between 16 and probably 22, 24, they're probably more prone to binge drinking, right, rather than drinking every day.
Yeah.
I guess as people, as we get older, those 1 to 2 drinks, I guess trying to deal with life and the stresses of life, and family, and work, things like that. Alcohol helps them just relax during the evening. when they want to
Definitely.
switch off.
100%.
It's just trying to find ways to combat that, really, you know.
Definitely. The bottom line is escapism, though, as well, isn't it? Right. So if you look at the majority of people nowadays have office jobs, right, for a start, or the bottom line is the majority of people on this earth are doing jobs they hate. That's the reality. They're working just to get by, make money. Majority of people are doing that. Obviously making money to live and then paying the bills and just literally making ends meet. It's just the world we live in, right? So you think about someone working in an office. They're sat down most of the day. They're not getting any dopamine hit whatsoever, unless they maybe go on social media on their lunch break. They're not really getting their dopamine hits. And then when they get home, obviously, no shit, they're going to want to hit. They're going to want to feel, want some sort of escapism, whether that's food, having a few drinks. It's just completely normal. So this is why you need to try and find a bit more balance. And if you are in an office environment, or you're doing, you're doing the kind of job which is, you maybe not be taking that much pleasure out of the job you're doing, then you've got to find other ways to find that pleasure which is going to benefit your health, right? So just moving more on your lunch break and whatnot, and just trying to find a little bit more balance. It's easier said than done, obviously, but yeah. Sorry, man, I interrupted there again.
All good. How about let's tell people how many calories per gram alcohol is as well, and also you burn first when you're training, so you can be aware. Calories pretty close to fat calories in terms of, alcohol's pretty close to fat calories in terms of how many calories per gram. So alcohol is 7 calories, carbohydrates, protein 4, and fat is 9. So relatively high. So it's not free, unfortunately. Having a drink once or twice a week probably shouldn't affect your body composition, provided your energy balance is out for the week, right?
Yeah.
So we've talked about that preparing in advance. Performance as well, or recovery. We chatted about that. So there's different studies coming into this. Some people say it does affect, some people say it doesn't. Personally, I definitely think if I drank the night before, my performance will suffer.
100%, man.
And if you're drinking on the day that you train, or after you train, after you have a game, then your testosterone levels will, we know now, through studies, the testosterone levels will lower. So if you are planning to have a drink, it's probably best to do it on days where you're having a rest.
Drastically as well, just to elaborate a bit on that, testosterone levels, guys and girls, drop drastically. Even off a drink or two, it will completely degrade your testosterone levels. So bear that in mind. There's no way around that. And it takes a few, if you're binge drinking and you're drinking excessively, it's going to take a good few days to build the hormone back up and just regenerate your hormones in general. So just bear that in mind,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to look at these old school sports stars, though, right? They used to drink day and night, and they just get on the field and crack on and have a good game, and then drink after the game again. So
Exactly.
I'm not sure the culture's changing a little bit now.
I know. We used to do it. Do you used to do it when you were younger? You used to play rugby? I used to go out,
straight after,
have a
no
bender.
water.
Yeah, and just dehydrated the next day. Like obviously, you're in your early 20s or whatever, and you can get away with it. If I'd done that now, mate, it wouldn't happen. But yeah, I used to play. I used to be, I used to think I was fine. Obviously, maybe you're not as sharp, but it's like kind of mind over matter when you're younger in a sense, isn't it? Sometimes, and then but I think in general, it's just like it's not obviously at a high level. It's not going to do you any favors whatsoever. Like so. Avoid it like a plague. Yeah. What would you say just to cap that one off, mate, so we can get on to the next topic? Anything to summarise what you said? Or anything you could, just for the average, the average person, like, because obviously most people are going to be drinking at least once a week. So
it depends where you want to be, right? If if it's going to impact your performance, then and you're overdoing it every day, then obviously you may need to limit it. Like again, we said alcohol is metabolized differently by different people. I know that if I've been drinking the night before, then the likelihood of me having a good session is pretty slim.
Yeah.
So I know clients who used to drink heavily nights before and coming into a session and be perfectly fine, but are they going to reach those goals that they have in terms of physique goals or
exactly?
Goals?
And you look at recovery, and as well. Come on, they might come up and do the session, but how's the recovery going to be? It's not going to be as sharp, is it?
Yeah, sleep's affected, growth hormone levels are affected, testosterone levels are affected. So I think that tells it all there really.
Exactly. And what I would say, just to give you my perspective, is just like anything really, just like food. You can relate it to food, yeah? You're going to go out and have a shit meal, right? If you're going to go out and have a crap meal, and you're going to feel terrible afterwards. A lot of people are fine. Like, they'll go out and have have a bad meal. Next day, they're back in the game. People who are really keen and tracking their calories or whatever. Next day, they're fine. They'll cut back, all good. A lot of people, though, and a lot of people I've trained, they'll complain. They'll come in and see me on a Monday, and they're complaining about the food they've had and stuff like that, which is totally normal. Because how many times have we done that, and where we get to a Monday, and we binge on the weekend, and we feel terrible, feeling sorry for ourselves, and then we're trying to, as Andrew said before, on another podcast, we're trying to punish ourselves then in the gym. So we're trying to hammer our body in order to kind of punish and push ourselves in order to redeem ourselves. But it doesn't really work like that, So where I was going with that is...
It's difficult to train a bad diet, right?
Oh, absolutely, mate, absolutely. I was just going to say, just connect how you're going to feel afterwards. If you can go out and have a few drinks and civilize and have a good time, go ahead and do it. That's great. That's what life's for, And drinking is actually good. I'm going to say to you, if you're going to go out and socialize and you can keep it in moderation, then congratulations, because moderation in life, in any aspect, I don't care what anyone says, is very, very tough. Moderation is tough in any area of life. So if you can go out and do that, then that's amazing. You found a great deal of balance in your life. But if you're like, well, what I'm like, really, I'll be straight with you. I'm nowhere near as bad as I was. As I say, nowadays, I can have a few drinks and be civilized with it. But there's still occasions where I go out and I get carried away, and I'll literally do a number on myself, and I'm feeling sorry for myself the next day and the day after that. And you just, you only get one life, right? So you don't want to be spending days and days suffering. So if it's going to lead that, if the aftermath is going to kind of outweigh the good times, then you need to weigh things up, really.
Is it really worth it? Ask yourself that question. But again, you're a lot more dialed in than many people might be, right? So again, it is a process and a journey. So just be aware of that. But the more you are aware of what's going on in your body, the better it becomes.
Exactly. That's it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I hope that was good for you folks. Anyway, we ran through a lot of the detriments, and obviously there is some positives to be taken out of alcohol, as we mentioned. It's just it's fun and games. Like, just try not to be waking up on someone's mat, face planted, dribbling all over their mat, like Andrew, and you should be all right.
It's not fun, believe me.
Zoo project. Soz about me. Remember that Andrew disappeared, right? We all disappear, went our separate ways on a night out. Andrew's ended up somewhere, VIP band on his own.
All my money gone.
All my money gone. Oh man, I got to tell the listeners about this as well. That same trip, I think. Remember when I woke up on the motorway in Ibiza?
I think that was before, right?
That's right, yeah.
That was the initial one.
That's it. We got absolutely wasted. Again, like Andrew said earlier, erased my memory. I was that drunk. Can't remember what I was doing. Must have got kicked out. It was the biggest club in the world as well. We were in, literally, privilege. Kicked out of there somehow. No shoes or socks. So basically, I've woken up on the central reservation of a motorway. No shoes or socks. Not knowing what the hell happened. No wallet. Nothing. No money. Everything gone. And I was just like, wow. So that was probably the worst situation I'd been in, or one of them anyway. So if you can avoid doing stuff like that, then you're laughing.
Yeah. Ultimately, do we want to summarize that? About that as well. Like, obviously, drinking moderately is proven that it may be better psychologically, right? So there's more flexibility in your diet.
Definitely.
And again, what you said earlier about if you can control yourself and you can enjoy these social occasions, then it's going to be great for building relationships. However, like, if you're not drinking already, that doesn't mean I'm encouraging you to go out and start drinking now. But it has been proven that people who enjoy it moderately don't. It doesn't lead to excessive weight gain. So it takes careful preparation and planning.
Exactly. Great stuff. Yeah, so a bit of a different one today, folks. As you may have seen, like, I'm trying to delve a lot deeper into the mental health aspect now and the psychological element to life, really, and relating it to health and fitness and whatnot. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about a few different topics, just generally, some tips and tricks that I picked up lately in terms of defining what your purpose is in life and what you actually want out of life. So where we're at now is, it seems to me that we're facing an epidemic of mental health and suicide for a reason. There's so many factors that come into it. But, more and more men are losing their purpose in life. So what they're finding is, it's clear to see that one of the main triggers of depression, there's so many different elements, obviously, but it's losing your purpose. So a lot of people don't know where they're going in life. They don't seem to be. They don't have a. They don't seem to be serving a purpose. They don't know what they want out of life, and they kind of lose their way. And it's very, very easy in the world we live in nowadays to get sucked into a state of depression. Because we're exposed to a lot more things nowadays, and without going too much into that, just wanted to talk about finding your purpose. So, for example, success, right? So, what the hell is like success nowadays, right? So, you see this word being flown around a lot, but I just wanted to stress to the listeners that you need to know in terms of, right, a lot of us, maybe a lot of you listening to this podcast, are striving to be more successful, and you want to grow and evolve, because you wouldn't be listening to this podcast in the first place, because studies have already shown that people who listen to podcasts are actually the ones on the right track, the people who actually want to better themselves. So congratulations on that. But growth and actually becoming the better version of yourself every day is obviously the most important thing, really. But just it's clear for you to define what you think success is, right? So I'll give you an example. My definition of success. Recently, I've been doing a bit more journaling, which we're going to come to, because I know Andrew journals as well. And my definition of success is loving the people close to me, adding value to the world, and creating some more financial freedom as a means to travel and help more people. So essentially, the financial side is trying to build a bit more of an online business and reaching more people with my message. And that comes back to purpose and meaning. My purpose is to actually add value to the world and try and help people as much as I can. So it's quite deep, but what's your thoughts on what I'm saying, Drew?
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think you obviously said that suicide and depression and things like that are more prevalent these days, and we now have access to more than we ever did in the past. So I'll tell you first what I used to think defined success, and for me that was, am I going to make the most money? What type of things can I buy for myself? Material things, but it's definitely become maybe more aware recently of those who probably have it all. The rich and the famous, like celebrities, have been committing suicide. So that's kind of made a switch in my mind that when you have everything that you want, it doesn't necessarily make you happy. You just need to look at, sports stars, celebrities, who probably get given everything they want, but there's no purpose or meaning behind that, right? So absolutely. I think if I'm chasing someone, like you said there, what you're looking for is financial freedom. I think the beauty is in getting to that point, right? In making failures and striving towards it, as challenging and struggling as it can be. And sometimes it brings you down in different days when you see other people having things that you want, especially with the emergence of social media, which is often, sometimes it can bring you down, but the beauty is in striving towards that. And you're not getting given everything on the plate. You have to work hard for it. And
I just want to, can I just elaborate a tiny bit on what you're saying? I just wanted to say about what you were saying, and it's a very valid point. Accumulating things and accolades, and actually what you essentially, like I said, are accumulating within your life. Okay, it's becoming like, with social media, like Andrew said, we live in a world where society kind of is brainwashed us in a sense to thinking that is true happiness and fulfillment, right? Making a lot of money, buying these whatever things you want to buy, and then getting to that point, and then I'll buy this and then I'll be happy. I'll buy that and then I'll be happy. It's actually driven people into that state of mind where they are constantly chasing this thing which isn't actually going to make them happy, right? So whether that is your physique, whether it's buying, your dream car, or, buying a house and all these kind of things, you really, really need to, because there's billionaires all over the planet, right, who are lonely and depressed because they've got to the top of the mountain. They have, been really successful, made a lot of money, but not really unpacked the reasons why they were doing it. And a lot of the times, that's the most important thing. It's actually unraveling why you're doing things, what is the purpose behind it. Because when you get to the top of that mountain, unless you know what your purpose is and why you're doing it, it can be a risky thing, really. So there's billionaires all over the world now who, are waking up, drinking alcohol. Yeah, I've heard on podcasts, certain psychiatrists and stuff that actually mentor these people, and they wake up in the morning, drinking alcohol, popping pills on their yacht somewhere. So it's not always what it's perceived to be on social media, right? True?
Yeah, exactly, man. And if you are one of these people and often they've been given everything they wanted as well. I'm not saying every billionaire has, okay? Some of them have worked very hard.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not knocking that at all. No, I mean, honestly, I envy these people, but yeah.
But like you said, some people who have grown up with money and they take everything for granted. So they may be on their yacht or they may be in the best hotels in the world and they may have the best views, but they don't take it all in. They're not in the moment. Exactly. And I guess like our purpose in life is finding the meanings in bad things that happen and the struggle. Right. I've had a difficult time this month and I think you have as well. I've definitely been relatively successful or very successful everywhere I've gone as a personal trainer, whether that be the UK, Australia, and New York. And I tend to be in the top tier of trainers where I sell the most sessions, and I am most successful. This summer has been a bit of a struggle for me where I've lost a lot of clients moving away.
Yep.
And now I need to look within myself and and figure out how I'm going to build these clients back up and figure out what I'm doing wrong, whether my weaknesses are in sales, or I need to work on that side of things, or my weaknesses corrective exercise, if I'm going to try and do a course to rectify that and improve myself as a trainer, and how I'm going to come out of this and pick up more clients. So there's definitely beauty in the struggle. And I will come out of it, but if I'm given it on a plate, then again, I'm not going to take it for granted. But
100%. Yeah, that's it. And I just wanted to say, yeah, so that's exactly it. I said earlier, like, I envy these people as you were talking. What I meant by that is, people who've had, success in all realms of life, right? So, success could be, to me, success is having that balance again. It's coming back to that balance. It's having good, healthy relationships with people. That's one of the most important things. Yeah. So people on the road to actually, for example, using financial success as an example, it's the character defined. It's the character defined along these journeys of struggle. As Andrew said, there's beauty in the struggle. That it's all we have is the here and now, right? So, unless you're enjoying you need to kind of take enjoyment out of the struggle and the process. As tough as that sounds, that is what that is what you're going to look back on, right? It's the actual struggle and the character you're developing as you're trying to achieve these things, right? So you're not always going to get to where you want to get, right? And there's there's a massive difference between achievement and fulfillment, right? So Tony Robbins always uses Robin Williams, God bless him, as an example, right? So Robin Williams, the actor, right? One of the most, when it comes to success, one of the most successful actors ever to live, right? He went to Hollywood with absolutely nothing, achieved everything an actor could achieve, right? And also he was a very, very generous guy. He would turn up at children's hospitals and make kids laugh and stuff. He spent his whole life making other people laugh, essentially, right? So making other people happy. But obviously he had issues himself, and unfortunately he was obviously hiding a state of depression from the world. And he achieved everything he could achieve, but he didn't have fulfillment, right? He wasn't fulfilled at the end of the line for whatever reason that was. And unfortunately took his life, and his kids found, it's a grim state of affairs, but there's a massive difference between fulfillment and achievement. And fulfillment is very much linked to meaning and purpose. Actually finding your passion in life, I think is very important, and pursuing that. And, Andrew and I, although, we've been personal trainers for a while now, we are essentially working in an industry that we actually absolutely love. So we're very fortunate in that sense. So, yeah, so that was what I wanted to say on that. All good. Sorry, folks, we cut out a little bit there. Back in the game. Go on then, Drew. Hit me, mate.
Pressure's on. Definitely when you talk about building relationships, right? Just when you are with a partner or family members, just enjoy the moments a little bit. That can give you a little bit more purpose. I think sometimes that, personally, I'm so focused on my goals and what I want to achieve that I can neglect others close to me. You need to be very careful and aware that you do have others around you who generally care about you. And you need to enjoy those moments together rather than just focus on what the next move is. Definitely.
Being present, like you just said then, mate, you hit a wicked point then. You said just enjoy the company with people, right? So, how do you go about that, Anne? Because obviously people are always distracted by their by their mobile phone and whatnot.
Phone.
Yeah, just put your phone away, isn't it? It's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm going for sometimes leave my phone at home. Like I don't need that there distracting me to look at social media. I'm looking at bullshit anyway.
Absolutely.
It's not benefiting me in any way.
You're not present.
More negative about life. And again, like people are going through depression. If you are going through that yourself now, seek help, like talk to others, and do remember that you do have genuine people who do care about you. Like
Absolutely.
You may think you don't at the time, you may think the whole world's against you, but you do have friends there, family members you can't reach out to, don't want to see you go through that. It's definitely more prevalent nowadays with the influence of social media, as we know, in children and adults. So seek help. You know, it's you're still there, Martin?
Yeah, still here, mate. Can you see me?
Yeah, sorry, you cut out again.
All good, mate. All good. Yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, for example, Protectors, at Protectors, our mate has his own mental health awareness group. So if you need to reach out, then feel free to go follow him and drop him a message or wherever it is. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but even just following, just the first step would be follow someone like that. Also at Livinorg as well, LIVINORG is an awareness group out here in Australia. There's lots of different people now who are fighting this, you know, who are part of this movement now to actually help people with these mental health ailments. But yeah, I just wanted to say about, if you have any rituals that you abide to, Drew, in terms of looking after your mental health and stuff, because for me, I have made a point of practicing gratitude. So I was, as I talked about on previous podcasts, I was actually writing down. I was following this kind of plan out of the book I read, 59 Seconds, and writing down like Monday to Friday different things I was grateful for and stuff like that. But if I don't write them down, I do write them down now because I started journaling again. But if I don't, then I'll just go through them in my head. When I'm walking over to work, I'll just literally go through 5 to 10 things I'm grateful for, and that is a staple part of every single day. I do not miss that for the world. Also, just basically, obviously, exercise one of the best things. But yeah, without going too much into that, journaling, and that's something I've started doing as of this week. Do you still do that?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I've got what's called a self-journal, so it's a little different from what you do, or I guess I have similar aspects anyway. In the self-journal, it allows me to plan out my day.
Yep.
So I can plan where my clients are, plan where I'm going to train, plan where I can grab a coffee, travel. If I want to do some reading, I plan that out. It gives you gratitude in the morning, so there's 3 different things you're grateful for. And it doesn't necessarily mean I have to be like too elaborate on that. If I'm not feeling up to it, I'll just put like I'm grateful to grab a coffee in the morning, you know?
Exactly.
It can be as simple as that sometimes. With that, it kind of asks you what your goals are. So my first goal will always be to try and better myself from last year. How can I improve from what I achieved last year?
Yep.
Second goal, maybe that I want to get financial freedom eventually. Third goal, maybe, hey, I have a modelling shoot, how am I going to get in shape for that? Or am I going to get a paid modelling gig soon? Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
You have 3 tasks that you want to do for the day. So one may be obviously get on the podcast with you.
Yep.
Second one would be try and pick up some new clients. Third would be to write some blogs. I'm just giving some examples.
Yeah, of course.
At the end of the day, so I sit down with the trainer at the end of the day, write down what I thought went well, what I thought could be improved upon during the day. Mm-hmm. Was there something that I did wrong, something that I need to tweak, or something that I need to study to improve on what I kind of went wrong for the day, and then my win for the day, so what I did really well. So maybe a certain client, maybe get work done, etc., and then again in the night time you then form gratitude before you go to bed. So it just puts you in a better mood before you put your head to rest, you know.
Exactly, and as I said time and time again before, we're delving a bit deeper into the psychological side now. But you know, you've got to train your brain just as you would your muscles in the gym. And this is only something over the last few years since actually Andrew introduced me to podcasts. I didn't even know what that was before. That kind of opened my mind up to just seeking out more information. And nowadays, I'm tuned into actually looking after my brain. And it's you have to train your brain you have to build up these habits in order for you to yield the benefits. It's just trying to be consistent with doing those simple things. For example, now, because I wasn't being consistent with the journaling side of it, I was doing gratitude, but just actually writing down I think helps a lot. So now I've got an app. It's called 5-Minute Journal. So I do it in the app instead, because you can, for example, in the morning you get up, you write down 3 things you're grateful for. So, for example, yesterday was I was in a bit of a rush. I was literally doing it on my way into work, so I didn't want to miss it. So I was literally walking into work putting this in, which is not ideal. You're probably better off just sitting down and doing it in a more relaxed state. But for example, I was grateful for the cold air on my lungs, as woo-woo as this sounds, right? Cold air on my lungs, my breakfast, and seeing my girlfriend later on. That was the three things I was grateful for. What can I do? And then when you finish your day, then what could I have done? Oh, sorry. At the same time, it's what will I do to make today great? And then three things. It was give my all to my clients, train, and laugh. Just simple things. It can be absolutely anything. And then the daily affirmations. Then it's, one of my affirmations is driven to help people and add value to their lives. So just releasing that positive energy on a daily basis is going to do the world of good over time. Definitely.
Yeah, because we can all sit there and moan about our lives, right? But I think even things that differ for you as well. Living in Sydney, and you see kind of like I can walk outside my door and I'll see someone on the street lying there sleeping in the cold. So
I know.
If that's gratitude that I have a roof over my head, then I know what it is really.
Definitely, mate. Definitely, and that's what it's all about. And it's also that's another form of gratitude as well, which I've been doing, is like just being thankful you haven't. For example, like you lose your wallet or something like that. I know this is quite simple, but that's an extreme one, right? We're not homeless. We've got a roof over our heads. Another one I always do is just having food available. I'm not starving. I can actually go and have a meal. Like these simple things we really do take for granted. And I listened to a podcast the other day, and a guy called Aubrey Marcus, and he just had a massive car crash. I don't know if you saw that.
I listened to it after you mentioned to. So
awesome, wasn't it?
First one I've listened to, actually. It's good.
Yeah, it's really good, wasn't it? And the Navy SEAL on there as well. And they both had scrapes with death. Very close to dying, and just the way they were describing how grateful they were just to be able to touch the person they love and smile and actually see and feel. Our senses we take for granted, which is where stuff like meditation comes in. But yeah,
one thing I need to improve upon is meditation. I was doing that for a while, and actually started again yesterday. So funny enough.
Good man.
I had some spare time, so I'll crack on with that. But I definitely feel like whoever's listening now is doing the right thing. Podcasts literally changed my life.
100%.
I felt like I was a little lost before I started listening to Ben Coomer, Mind Pump, things like that, and it actually made me a better, more productive person.
100, mate. Honest to God, I do obviously we're sat here now doing our own podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I genuinely, it would only have been a matter of time before I caught on to what they were, but I think getting in there early and having 2 or 3 years now of listening to podcasts and obviously your ability to absorb information as well, like without realizing it, Andrew, we can now absorb so much information, and our brains, evolve to actually take it in, and it benefits you. But yeah, it's completely the positive impact it's had on my life, and just having, as I always say, growing. Every day I always try and learn. Listen to podcasts, just trying to grow every day and become a better version of myself, better version of, better than I was the day before. Gratitude, and then just giving something as well. That's something I try and do as well. Just even if it's like smiling at someone or buying someone a coffee, something simple like that.
Essentially, you've redefined yourself, right?
Absolutely.
I'm listening to them, so.
Mate, it completely determines, who you are. People don't realize how kind of fragile humans are, right? So whatever you listen to and whatever you choose to, whether you're going on social media for 2 to 4 hours a day, like the average person, and scrolling through other people's lives and just being entertained, that's totally your choice. But if you're listening to this now, the chances are you're probably more self-aware than the average person. So, you're, basically taking the opportunity to be productive with your time and actually learn and taking information which is going to benefit you, such as this podcast, as opposed to looking at these stupid videos on. It's good to have a bit of entertainment here and there, but you got to bear in mind that Facebook and stuff like that are very, very clever. It's no different to any other drug. They actually rejig the algorithm, so whatever you look at and whatever you find entertaining will automatically come up on your feed to suck you in. So you just got to be aware of these things, isn't it?
And how is that adding value to your life? It's probably not.
Exactly. That's exactly right, man.
I think it boils down to obviously going on Instagram again, but the majority of people that we follow or fitness gurus that people follow, chances are you're probably never going to get the body that they have. So looking at that every day, how is that helping you?
No, exactly. Exactly. It's not, and it's not realistic, and that's why you have to unpack. Again, it sounds very, for some people, like, what do you mean? I don't understand why the why is so important, if you like. But writing down the reasons why, for example, just writing down now, right? If you're thinking, all right, if you're stimulated and thinking, all right, I really want to try and, strive and push forward. How about just writing down 5 reasons why you want to achieve what you want to achieve? Write down the reasons why, because I can guarantee you, if the why is powerful enough, then you will make shit happen. For example, Andrew and I are kind of, without being, big-headed, we're overachievers, right? We're always, in our heads, we're always underachieving, right? We're both very similar to that. We're always not doing enough. We've never done enough in our heads, right? Always striving for more. But showing the gratitude has helped us appreciate, it's definitely helped me appreciate, the things that I am getting done. For example, this podcast, I think, 95% of podcasts don't make it past episode 13. And, this is now, we're recording episode, I should know this, I think it's episode 38. So, just keeping the momentum with this and actually keeping this afloat is an achievement for me. And I'm very proud of that, and you've got to congratulate yourself, and you've got to learn how to love yourself. And that's the bottom line, really learning how to love yourself and put yourself first. And just as Andrew was saying, trying your best not to compare yourself to other people, because you're never going to be what they are, and for example their physique, you're never going to look like them, unfortunately, but you're going to be the best version of yourself if you keep striving on your path. Huh? Yeah, exactly, that's it, mate. You're never going to look like me, but you can try. Best of luck with that. Sorry folks, I didn't mean that. No, but what I mean is, in reality, you haven't got the genetic makeup they've got. There's so many elements that come into it, and even if you were to look like them, because you're so tuned in to comparing yourself, you're still not going to be happy when you get to the top of the mountain. Yeah. No, you're not. Right. That's it.
That goes down to what we said at the beginning with celebrities who have everything they want. They're still not happy. So if you can't find happiness within yourself and you achieve weight loss or you achieve six-pack abs, I've been there myself before. I've had that.
That's it.
And still I'm relatively I'm unhappy. So you need to switch whatever it is in your head and start thinking about other things and start being grateful and journaling and
absolutely
working hard and testing and things like that. And
exactly.
Will help you as a person. So
wicked. So give me in 1 or 2 sentences, Drew, just to recap, what would you tell people now, if you could like put the message out there? What would you say, just to help people who are striving for success but are not necessarily, maybe, how do I say it? Maybe struggling in a sense to find their way, right? Anything you could put out there to kind of like motivate people to form better habits, if you like.
For me, it's about building relationships, making them strong and healthy, and having certain sacrifices to do that. Find people around you who push you to be a better person, to be more organized, more productive, and ultimately, like as we're doing now with podcasting and our online business, help others, because that's going to give you a new purpose. That's going to put new meaning into your life. It stops you being selfish, and you can reach out to more people and help them with their lives and make them better people. So there's lots of things that you can implement to do so. As I said earlier, listen to podcasts. You're already doing this one, so you're ready to improve yourselves. Practice gratitude. When you're at work, be professional. I find that getting tasks done helps with your psyche as well.
Yeah, so you said 3 tasks earlier, right? You said you always do 3 of the most important things and try and get them done, right? Is that your trick? Yeah.
And try and tick them off throughout the day, so plan time to do that. Definitely sleep will help you. Again, what you said earlier, focusing on health, movement, eating well, and just redefine yourself. As I said earlier, you redefined yourself with podcast, so did I.
Definitely.
And I became a better person from that. So
100%. And you hit a very, very good point there, surrounding yourself with the right people. So you are going to be, on average, your character is defined by the 5 people you spend most of your time with, right? So you are essentially becoming who you surround yourself with and what you listen to. So what you put into your what you choose to listen to and tune into is going to completely mold and shape your brain for the rest of your life. So be very, very aware of what you're taking in and what information you choose to absorb. Because as we've said time and time again, there's more information available to us than ever, but there's also lots of bullshit out there. So you have to siphon out the shit and chime into these kind of podcasts. Also, the game changer for Drew and I know was Mind Pump Media, and in fact, you should go and we were actually lucky enough to feature on one of their episodes. I believe it may have been episode 693. So go and check that one out as well. We were on the podcast, and going into another thing about coaching. Andrew and I are going to be doing some online coaching, one-to-one stuff. So if you're interested in that, give us a shout. Drop us a DM on Instagram. Andrew is at Mr. Bond Fitness, and you all know, well, most of you know I'm at Martin Silva Fitness. So if you've got any inquiries, just drop us a message. But yeah, my tips would be, if you're striving to be more successful, firstly, define what the hell success is to you, right? Because let me tell you now, if you're just thinking success is earning more money, because there's so many people out there who, for example, you know, it's easy for us to say because I haven't got a family and stuff, but people are working really, really hard to feed their family. But, there's a lot of people I've come across who seem to be earning enough money and doing well, but they're still working more and more and more and more to earn more and more money to feed their families. But, you know, it's just taking a step back and thinking, right, do I need to put myself through this? Because there's a lot more you can take out of life just by appreciating what you have. And actually just focusing on the here and now, and practicing things like gratitude and journaling, just writing down your thoughts and feelings for a few minutes a day helps. And obviously putting into what you put into your gut. Nutrition is very, very important, and all the studies are going to come out now over the next 5-10 years are going to be really interesting because the gut drives the brain. So make sure you're trying to fuel your body. And for the most part, you know, trying to eat whole foods for the most of the time. And those relationships are really important. So surround yourself with the right people.
Well, that's what you said about family there as well. If you're striving to earn more and more money, and that means more hours at the office, how is that affecting your family relationship and how your kids grow up?
Yes, good point, mate.
You know, you have as much money in the world, but if they don't have your backing and your support, and you're helping them grow up to be a better person, then it's irrelevant, really.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, you put that really well, man. All right, let's leave it there, mate, because I know you got to get going. And it's 8:30 in the evening on a Friday night. This is dedication, mate. And bloody hell, 5:30 in the morning over there. That's dedication too. So
enjoyable to enjoy. Mate, it. Thank you.
It was good, man. That's probably because you were still drunk. You're an alcoholic, mate. Now 2 drinks. You changed.
Walking the water on the way to work.
Good times. Happy days. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you chiming in, and thanks for listening, folks. If you could please go over to iTunes and give me a rating and review, that'd be a massive help. And thanks very much for listening. And I wanted to say one more thing, is I was supposed to have the Plant Proof guy on my podcast last week. We recorded an amazing podcast, and it didn't record my end. So he's going to be on next week, so that's going to be so sorry about last week. I missed a week. I'm trying to be consistent, getting one out a week, but I'm going to get him back on next week, and it's going to be an even better podcast, so stay tuned for that one. Thanks again, Drew.
Thank you, mate.
See you soon, mate.